Oh, hello. I'm wearing red today in the spirit of periods. You guys know that I love talking about periods and I love learning new things about periods. So I thought it would be cool to make a video going over some of the most common period myths. These are things that are typically very commonly believed, and there's not as much truth in them as we may think. Whether you've had a period or you've never had one before, hopefully you'll be able to learn something new and share it with your friends. Myth number 1. There is scientific evidence that people who spend time together also have synced up periods. Surprise! There actually isn't any scientific evidence to back this up. I know it's a bummer because I feel like this is definitely something that I've experienced before, but let's break it down and figure out what's actually going on. There were actually 2 studies done in 2006 that determined that syncing up actually just comes down to chance and coincidence. On average, period cycles can last between 21 and 35 days, and then an actual period itself can last between 4 and 7 days. There's a lot of room for overlap, and variations are pretty common. So at first I was like, oh my god, definitely syncing is a thing. And then when I started thinking about it more and reading more about it and reading how there is so much possibility for overlap, I started thinking about how all of my friends and I have different bodies, different people are on birth control, not on birth control. There are just all of these other variables that factor in, and so when we do happen to have a period around the same time, it's probably most likely just by chance. So it is fun to say that you're synced up with your friends because I kind of feel like it's a bonding experience, but at this point in time, there is no scientific evidence to back that up. Myth number 2. When you're on your period, you can't swim, play sports, have sex, or just do activities in general. This definitely is not true. You can be as active as you want on your period. With things like swimming, using an internal way to manage your period is probably the route that you're gonna wanna take. Although I will say I've definitely worn a light liner in my bathing suit before when I wanted to go into the water at the beach, and it was more so to manage my period when I got out of the water because it was on a light day at the end of my period. But it's also something that I don't think I would recommend because I really haven't done that since because I didn't enjoy it. But I thought I would share my personal experience with that as somebody who does not enjoy tampons. In terms of having sex, you can totally have sex. Some people really enjoy having sex on their period because they find that they have a heightened sense of pleasure, and other people, it may not be their thing. Depending on how and when you have sex, there might be some period blood involved. This is totally normal and okay. There are various ways that you can manage that. Some people are totally fine with period blood, and other people would like a little bit less of a mess. A really awesome way that I have just recently discovered that I can manage my period in a way that's internal, and I can have sex and there's not gonna be any blood, and I can also go swimming and I don't have to wear a tampon, a menstrual disc. This is something that has really made a huge difference in my life, especially as someone who does not like wearing tampons. Flex reached out to me a while ago asking if I wanted to try out their menstrual disc, and because I'm so obsessed with learning about periods, I was so excited because anything that is remotely new in this space, I am all about trying. I tried it out, fell in love with it, and that's why I'm so excited and really happy that Flex is sponsoring this video, because this is something that I think can help so many people out there like me who are in the position of not wanting to wear tampons because they're uncomfortable, and I just don't have a good experience using them. So I've always used pads. Like I mentioned, Flex is a menstrual disc, and this is the box that the Flex discs come in. They come individually wrapped like this, and I have one open so I can show people, because one of my favorite things to do when people come over is to show them the Flex menstrual disc because I just think it's so cool. So you take it out of the wrapper, and it looks like this. It's super bendy. It's really, really flexible. And then this is where the menstrual blood catches. So if you're wondering how to use this, Flex has an instructional video that I found really, really helpful. I watched it over and over to learn how to put it in and how to take it out. And at first, it may seem a little daunting and scary, especially if you're someone like me who is more used to using external ways of managing your period, like pads. What I do is I bend the Flex disc to make it as small as possible, because the way that I put it in is like this. This is my vaginal opening here. I'm putting it in like this. So I want it to be as small as possible, and that's why I like this so much. It's because I can make it small, and it's really smooth as it slides in. I will say though, you do have to have a level of comfort with touching yourself, because you are gonna have to put, you know, your fingers inside of yourself. You're gonna be touching your vulva, but I think that's a cool experience to just understand where things are and understand how the Flex cup works. Once this is in your vaginal canal, you push it in and it sits at the bottom of your cervix, and that's where it catches your period blood. With things like tampons and other internal products, they usually sit in your vaginal canal, so you can't be putting anything else in there. But because this sits at the bottom of your cervix, it leaves that area completely open. So one, this is a really great option for swimming and being in water and doing more active activities. Two, this is a really awesome option if you want to have sex in whatever way you have sex, and you would like a little less mess, because there is nothing that comes out. There's no blood that comes out at all. And I think that that is really awesome to have that option if it's something that is up your alley, your vaginal alley. When it comes to taking this out, all you have to do is put your finger inside, look for the lip of the disc, and pull it out. I love this because I am able to see how much I'm menstruating. And because I'm a nerd and I always want to learn more about my period, I love seeing how much I'm menstruating. I just think it's really interesting. And then this is disposable, so you can just toss it when you're finished using it. I really love Flex because it gives me a choice. And as someone who has felt like I haven't had a choice outside of pads, this is a really big deal for me, and I can't feel it when I'm wearing it. It is so comfortable. There definitely was a learning curve for me, but I think it was totally worth it, and I love it. This isn't my everyday choice for managing my period. I use it when I feel like I want to, and I just love having the option. That is such an empowering thing for me, and I no longer feel like, oh my god, I can't go swimming or I can't go to the beach because I'm on my period and I don't like wearing tampons. So if you would like to try out Flex yourself, you can check the description box for a link where you can get your first box for free. Myth number 3, you can't get pregnant on your period. It is totally possible to get pregnant while you're on your period. At ovulation, your ovary releases an egg into your fallopian tube, where it can wait for up to 24 hours to be fertilized before going into the uterus. And because sperm can live inside of you for up to 5 days, you can technically get pregnant up to 5 days before ovulation and 24 hours after. Myth number 4, you must get your period by insert age here. And when you do get your period, the cycle will be exactly 28 days. I know growing up that I heard a lot of talk around when your period had to start. There is no one age for everybody. Typically, menstruation starts between 10 and 15, with the average being 12. Personally, I started my period at 15. I was the last out of all of my friends. It's also really common to have an irregular period for the first 1 to 2 years of your period. During this time, the part of your brain that regulates menstruation is still maturing. And on top of that, there's so much room for variation because everybody is different. And it can take up to 4 years for your period to become regulated. I definitely experienced that. I would say it took probably 3, but closer to 4 years for my period to be regular. And when it comes to the length of your period itself, there's variation here too. Some people have really short periods, some people have longer periods that span a week, maybe even 10 days, and not everybody has a 28-day cycle. That means 28 days between your periods. Personally, I have about 6 weeks between my periods, and that's what's regular for me. Myth number 5. Using a tampon or inserting any kind of internal period management product means that you're not a virgin. I think there are two conversations happening here. Using something like a tampon can potentially break or tear your hymen, but that doesn't mean you're not a virgin, because your hymen can also tear or break from other non-sexual acts. So that really shouldn't have anything to do with virginity. You lose your virginity when you engage in a sexual act. And people have different thoughts around that, but that is a separate conversation. But when it comes to your period, you're not losing your virginity by using a tampon. That is it for my video today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and hopefully you were able to take something new and interesting away. I know that I definitely learned a few things just from looking into things and researching things. The whole syncing thing, that was a shock to my system, and I'm kind of a little bit sad about it and still trying to recover. So I'm gonna go off and deal with my feelings about that, and I will see you guys later. Bye.